All right, and we are live on My Whiskey Den, and we have with us Mad Max Ben again in South Carolina. Apparently, shit's starting to break down there, and Mike Pooh Bear, the honey lover, which is appropriate because we have Dominic Desano on, and he is one of the brains behind Domeloz Somel. Give me a second here. We're gonna kick off the show like we normally do.
Let's get into it. 1, 2, 3.
All right.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, I did that. Like I was telling someone else, I wanted to use it since the beginning, but I tried to get the proper copyrights from the roots, but they haven't gotten back to me, so fuck it. So we're using it.
Good.
And like I was saying, we have Dominic on. He is the co-founder of Domeloz and Melovation. And I'll let you tell what. Let me get this off the screen. Wow, man, it just wants to stay on there. Your companies want to pop up. That's a good thing. Why don't you go in and to explain people what Domeloz is?
Okay. Well, Domeloz is a spirit brand, and so we don't own a distillery. We started in 2016, actually under a different brand name and a different category name called Domeloz Somel. I was in operation for 6 months before I realized that I had trademark infringements on both names.
Oh, so now you got me concerned about the intro. That's great.
So that's the beginning. The beginning was like, oh shit, like what are we doing? So that's when we killed it, and we were like, all right, let's rebrand it to Domeloz. And that's kind of the beginning of that. So I guess I discovered the distillation of honey while making mead in Brazil. So my partner Laura DeJulius used to live in Brazil in this really beautiful remote area, and is friends with some of the large honey producers there. So I tell this story. I basically went down there on the last day. I was like, hey, you guys got any honey? Because I had mead in my pocket, or yeast and nutrient in my pocket. And they brought me a gallon of the best honey I'd ever tried. So I made a quick batch of mead. I kicked it twice, and I said, don't drink this for 6 months. 4 months later, I got a call back being like, this is the best shit I've ever had. You got to come back and make this. So we started a meadery in the middle of nowhere. No electricity, 2,000 liters of mead, my first crack at it, I was using a canoe paddle to everything hung up in the air on rope, and because nothing could touch the ground, and I had to work at night because there were no windows, and bees basically want their honey back, so you're not working during the day.
Ooh, yeah, that could be dangerous.
Yeah, it was. I stepped on a lot of bees,
Are you sure you're making mead? Because it sounds like you're doing something else.
No, I was making mead, man. But the thing is I was so afraid of the mead, stalling or this or that. I basically made this style of mead that was very hot. So that's a term if it's very high alcohol. So I did staggered sugar additions, and I did staggered nutrient additions, which basically made this mead that was 18% alcohol, right?
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it's really high, really great for distillation, but not really great for a delicate mead, right? So that's kind of how I discovered this. I was like, wait a minute, what do you do with mead that's not that good? So that kicked off the journey of Somel, So down there in Brazil, they call it água redente de mel, the burning water of honey. And people make it, not a lot, but they make it a little bit. Usually only people with a lot of honey. Okay. So then I kind of, went on the journey, and I'm like, wait a minute, I think this can really make a difference, because it's it's a supply chain and a resource, right? That's directly dependent on a bee. And so I was like, hey, I'm going to try to do this. No one else is really doing it at a big scale. I had no idea of the challenges
that laid ahead of you in that.
Oh my God!
Hey, well, it sounds like that first couple batches was like a challenge in of itself. So I mean, good deal for putting the time in on that.
Yeah.
Jump in for 1 second. We want to say hi to Ed at Rotgut, Arthur Lopez, Nathan Clark's out there. Whiskey Straight Out. Thanks for stopping in from across the sea. He's over across the pond right now, getting ready for a lockdown on his side of things over there. We just want to thank everyone for stopping in the chat. Appreciate that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a pretty decent kickoff story.
Was it?
Yeah,
I'm kind of like you wind me up and just let me go.
No, I was really curious the whole connection to Brazil, how you were why Brazil was your source for honey. So it's kind of like that's where you basically discovered the whole ordeal, really.
Yeah. So Laura DeJulius is my partner, and her story is even more phenomenal than mine. But she found herself living and having children in this remote region in Bahia, Brazil. And she goes back regularly. And as we started to develop a relationship, I was invited to go, and I did, I guess, the kind of typical American thing. And I was like, I'm going to start a business. Well,
Viva la capitalism.
And I'm like, if I'm going to go back every 2 years, I got to find a way. And I don't speak the language, right? Barely. Now I'm really rocky, but then I was definitely, just about. I knew one word, and it was bus station. Because when I went alone after we went, and so this is the story. So her ex-husband lives down there, and her daughter was down there. He has a really beautiful spread. It's actually built by a German priest, and it's called the Castle. Pretty phenomenal. And so he's got a substantial amount of land, and it's kind of like a posada, so we could stay there. But once they invited me to come back, I found out, and this is kind of what really did it for me. I found out that my grandfather's was called Mel or Melvin, right? And the word for honey is Mel. And my middle name is an M, which stands for Melvin. But I never told anybody my name Melvin, ever. Right. All my friends when I was 13, I grew up in an Italian area. They were like, what's your middle name? I'm like, I've been telling you. Finally, I made up the name Melvino. I made that, and I had no idea what that meant. And then like a week later, I was like, oh, yeah, it's Melvini. They're like, you liar. Got it. So Melvino, and I find out I named myself Honeywine when I was 13 years old. So that's the name of our meadery in Brazil is Melvino.
Pretty serendipitous.
Really cool.
Yeah. So, my middle name's Honey, So over the years, we've connected, we've kept the relationship with Brazil. It's been a couple of years since I've been back this time, but there was a section where I was going every 6 months, and then I was going every year, and then every 2 years. But we've got a really good supply of pretty good mead down there. I mean, I feel so blessed. I got to play with some really exotic fruits. I'm like, bring me everything that isn't poisonous. All these different fruits and herbs and spices. It was kind of, there was a point where it was like a home brewer's nightmare, because when I left, there were 9 55-gallon drums, right? When I left. When I came back 6 months later, they all got racked into 5-gallon carboys. There were 150 5-gallon carboys packed into a room. with like plastic wrapped around the head. It was an absolute nightmare. So for 2 weeks, I just had to deal with like trying to not lose all this booze, and like gravity and racking and all that.
Yeah.
So now we've got a pretty good system. We actually have a pump, and we've got it going down pretty good. But
Cool.
but anyway, that's.
And that place is known for one of the best honey producing regions in the world. Am I not right?
Well, definitely in Brazil. Yeah.
Okay.
Flora Nativa is the name of the collective. But yeah, Flora Nativa is the name of the collective, and it's a really great outfit because it supports a bunch of communities. There's like 7 or 10 communities around there that all are the beekeepers come to the collective. So it's really a support system for the community. And it's a semi-arid climate. So it's up high, it's kind of like a desert, but then down in the valley, it's like there's beautiful orchids, and it's just like rainforest down below. It's really gorgeous. Yeah,
that's cool. If you got
like
that,
and it is actually truly certified organic there. There's not a whole lot of monoculture or anything
going on, but that's cool that it's helped supporting like the whole area, not just like a village, like a whole area in there. That's awesome.
Yeah. That's from my friends Pedro and Lars. So 2 Swedish guys that traveled there like 25 years ago, and they've been there ever since. Okay.
Sometimes you find a spot and it's home. And you don't expect it.
Yeah.
There's a bit when I went to Peru where I was like, you know what, I could handle living here. I'd really be.
Yep. Maybe you should start a business. So. Or don't do that. Don't do that.
Not right now. Not right now. I'll go back again. But that's sweet.
So you'd mentioned the fruits and stuff down there. Are you thinking of doing anything with adding any of that to the spirit?
Oh, I would love to.
What would stop you?
Well, transporting it, everything is so hard. Everything down there, it's just challenging. There's like running a freezer down in this area is pretty challenging. So freezing the pulp, it's now I could make a Somel down there with the fruit, and then ship up the product that way. I could do that. I could probably make a mead as well and ship it up that way. But to be honest, I've not really looked into shipping the fruit back and forth or back.
Yeah, that could be a whole other
like
issue.
a lot of energy to do that, So, but
no, I get that. I was gonna say, and honey is usually kind of like a natural preservative for a lot of things. It usually doesn't go bad. So adding other stuff could create a little bit of an issue with that as you're doing it.
Yeah.
I dig that.
Yeah. I mean, I've definitely considered importing mead, but I've not quite got there yet. Mostly because I don't know. It's
you got enough on your plate already.
I got enough. I needed like another hole in my head.
Sometimes there's enough stuff because you do beekeeping and stuff too, don't you?
Well, we're trying to like revolutionize beekeeping as well. Now
I'm gonna pop this up because I was gonna say I still a couple things. But we can still talk. But that's the Melovation. That's the bee company. So those are actually kind of the hives on there that you're using.
Yep. Those are the Vincent column hives is what those are, and they are designed for optimum bee health, and our bees do great. They do great. This is invented by a gentleman called Rick Vincent, who has been working with that beehive for over 30 plus years.
I got one other picture that I thought was pretty neat. Was kind of where you put in like the screens and one where you didn't.
Oh
where you could see how it kind of changes with the one that you actually put the screens in, and one where they just naturally do it.
No, they did it naturally on both those.
Oh, did they?
Yeah.
Okay, well, that was my bad. Just the one on the right looks like just so much richer and like unique with it and a little bit fuller.
Yeah.
But I mean,
Yeah,
I thought that was pretty cool, just kind of to see the hexagon kind of pattern, what was going on and what happens on the inside. So
yeah, they naturally, you know, they have the code, you know. And it's funny, that one on the right kind of has a squiggle to it.
yeah.
At the top of that top bar, it's actually pretty straight. They kind of straightened it out.
Nice. A little bit easier for getting it out of there.
Yeah, yeah. No, it's a really great concept, and we're really excited about it. You know, I tell people that style of beehive is not designed for like beekeepers, like professional beekeepers. It's more for landowners, people that want bees and pollination in their life. You know, you're not really interacting with the bees very much. They're pretty self-sustainable. It's kind of like having a wild tree in the woods and having a beehive in the tree. You know, you know, it
does all the work, but it's not a huge hassle to the person who owns it. Where like, the hives are like, hey, it's time to go put on the suit.
No, this is my imitation of beekeeping. You ready? I'm looking up at it and I'm taking a drink. That's it. That's it. Yeah.
That's your revolution.
That's the revolution. You know, so
I like the way that goes.
Yeah.
Now, have you ever thought of using like honey from here in Wisconsin or someplace else, or is it more just kind of from down in Brazil at the moment?
Well, I'll be perfectly honest with you. It's why I'm starting this, because I'm not really, you know, honey is a lot of things. It's a whole list of things. And one of the things that it really is heavy. And heavy is expensive to move.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So supply chain is number one.
Yeah.
Trying to get vertically integrated.
Yeah.
You know, for more reasons than just money, but it really, to me, it just really makes a lot of sense. You know, we have a product that's directly dependent on honey, and honey can basically be produced every continent, maybe Antarctica, anywhere there's flowers, and talk about diversity, right?
That's what I got on.
Yeah.
The very first time I tried it was, I knew a couple other people that owned distilleries. I was like, well, I mean, I didn't give away any ideas, but I was like, you know, if you tried this down in Texas, like this part of Texas is going to be fucking different than that part of Texas, way different than this. Like the flowers that they're going off of stuff, you can get completely different flavors and be really unique with it. So
that's called the Somel journey, right? The Somel trail. You start and you just go, because every distillery, I mean, if this pops, right? Mm-hmm. I think it would. I'd like to see the world if it did. But if it pops, every distillery is going to have their own terroir, their own special Somel. You know.
So, are you finding differences?
Oh, sorry.
Sorry. I was going to say, are you finding differences from batch to batch in the honey, depending on what kind of flowers the bees are sourcing from?
Absolutely, 100%. Absolutely. Yeah. So I've had lots of experience. I've used black locust. We've used buckwheat. I've used I've used honey, orange blossom, tupelo, alfalfa, white clover, and then lots of different wildflowers. And you can tell a difference in all of them.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. The lighter the flavors of honey, so the softer, they're a little more kind of muted. You know, it's very gentle on a mouthfeel, and the differences are slim, but a more robust types of honey. So maybe like a buckwheat, or even like a dark amber. It's going to have a lot of punch, and those are the ones that we like to. I mean, we barrel age some stuff, and when you barrel age it, you really have to be careful, because if you barrel age a Somel for too long, it follows suit of what barrel aging is supposed to do, and it makes it start to taste like oak.
Okay,
so you start to lose those floral terroir, flavor notes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
which is so precious. You know, that's the stuff we want to save. You know.
Yeah.
But yeah, and being local, you know, and having a local supply, you know, the dream is that a distillery decides to make a Somel. They reach out to a farmer or several farmers, and they make a contract with that farmer, with that beekeeper, and they said, "Hey, I'll buy your honey for the next 5 years. What do you want me to plant? What kind of flavor profile do you want the Somel to have?" Right. Well, I want you to plant the alfalfa and buckwheat for your cover crops. Plant a bunch of, you know, I guess basswood, linden, you know, chestnuts, hazelnuts, several. There's lots of different things you could do. But that's kind of what we're looking for, you know.
Oh, I like that a lot.
Yeah.
And bees are needed everywhere. So increasing their population, no one should be having a qualm or quandary about that whatsoever. It's please add them. It's a big problem. They're even sticking around. So
yeah. Well, you know what they say, there's no amount of bees that cause a problem. They don't harm really anything in the ecosystem. You know, they might sting you, and some people might be allergic, and there might be all that whole thing. But as far as like causing trouble, that's where I'm at. I'm like, you know, we got to get that EpiPen thing figured out. But
we got Emily in the chat had a question. She had, do you not consider orange blossom honey robust? I've never had orange blossom honey, so I don't know.
Oh yeah, absolutely, and it is a robust. If I stated that it wasn't, it does, and it comes through in the Somel, pretty nice and pretty gentle. You know, the floral notes of orange are different there. I mean, it's similar to like if you have a mead that you're using, you know, particular honey in, not like you're tasting the raw honey. It's kind of, you know, it's under there, and everyone's flavor you know profiles are different, so you're gonna get different stuff, and that's kind of the magic of Somel is it's not sweet, you know.
Yeah, so that's where I was just gonna get up to the different types that you have. Like, hold on here, like the very kind of the come on, you stupid computer. Kind of the baseline that you guys have is like the yellow label, which is like the 100% just pure Somel.
Yeah.
And when I first had that, my wife was actually the one that showed it to me. She dragged me over at Distill America like last year, and she's like, "You got to try this." I was like, "You don't say that very often." I'm on my way. But where the people listening in the chat and stuff, like when you have it, it does not taste like a liquor or overly honeyed or even like a really overly. Like some corn will even get with a whiskey where you get kind of that candy note. It tastes like honey, but you can tell it's a spirit. It's a little bit drier. You're getting some of the subtle notes in it. So that's what I found kind of really kind of unique about it was I'm like, it doesn't taste like you hear honey, you think liqueur a lot of the time, and the other stuff doesn't have that flavor profile at all.
Yeah.
And I know you were mentioning we were down there this year about how it goes really good in a cocktail, but there are some kind of limitations with how overpowering what you want to add to it might be.
Yeah, you know, it's so gentle. It's very soft. The moment it gets like cold, and then it gets even softer, right? And then you're going to start putting stuff on it. I tell people, I'm like, the more you put on it, the sadder you are. Because it's so drinkable just by itself. There's so much in there, you know? And that was one of our biggest issues, I'll say. Like when we came to market, and I'll take blame for that. I mean, I'm not a mixologist. I'm not a bartender. I don't have all that. I mean, I'm a kind of a straight booze guy. I drink good booze and I drink
it. High five to everyone here.
I like good booze and I drink it straight. You know, I might put a nice elbows, but that was what got me in trouble because the bartenders would be like, "Yeah, well, okay, it's what do we do with it?" And I'm like, "Oh, you know, mix it like you would," and that was not the right answer. because the moment you put a lemon or a lime on this, like 3/4 of an ounce or even a half ounce, even a 1/4 ounce, the lemon and lime just chop right through it, and you just can't find it anymore. And then you start using the neutral grain spirits, so the NGS that's in most of your liqueurs. That's really potent, and that'll chop right through it too. So in the end, you maybe used 1.5 ounces of it, but it's gone, and you just are, you're sad. You're like, damn it. So I tell people, think like a bee. Less is more. Look like a martini. Look at it from across the room with a fun herb, a spice, a drop of raspberry in it. Muddle up a strawberry, smack a mint leaf. Put some tarragon in it. Like there's lots of things you can do, but it just don't do a lot.
Keep it a little bit on the lighter side, and I agree with that.
Yeah.
And I'm just gonna go up through the barrels right now, just because like the second was like the black label. That's the one where you rested it and used bourbon barrels. And the first batch I know was 6 months, and this last year was it 10 months?
No. So that black label is 3 months.
Oh, 3 months. Oh shit.
That black label is.
That's why you're on the channel.
No, it's okay. It's okay. No, the concept is simple. I say better sugar, better booze, faster.
Yeah.
Right? So think of agave, think of tequila. It's great alcohol. They're doing it super fast. It's a great sugar, right? So why, Somels come off the still with wisdom. The bees do all the work in the front end, so we don't have to do much. So get it on, get it off. That's what I say.
So I got a question for you. What's your distribution look like right now?
So we just switched distributors. We were with Wisconsin Distributors, which thank you very much, WDI. You did a great job with us, and we really appreciate all your hard work and your reps. But now we've actually switched to Frank's Liquor in the kind of Dane County area, and then we're with Johnson Brothers, which is going to be the rest of like Kenosha, Milwaukee area. So we are not out of Wisconsin yet. We're, it's been a run. It takes dollars to do this stuff, and I had no real idea how much dollars I was gonna need.
Hey, you're starting a whole classification of a spirit, so
yeah,
working from the ground up usually is that way. So
well, one of the it's hard enough to start a bourbon brand, let alone something that nobody knows what the hell you're making. I mean, that's one of the toughest things we have is, when we get the sale, everybody drinks it, everybody loves it. Like, man, it's good.
It's amazing. Yeah,
it's really
it really
good.
is.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That's not the problem. It's like we got lightning in the bottle, but you've heard that. That's sales is the horse, right? If you can't move it, it's okay. But one of our troubles is we get placed in the wrong spots. So people see the word honey on it.
Yeah.
And they put us right next to Baron-Jaeger.
Ugh, I'm sorry.
Well, and then people are looking at the bottles. My customer is not shopping for Captain Honey. Maybe. But most people that taste it, that don't like it, they're expecting a liqueur.
Yeah.
Right? And then they're like, whoa, what is that? Especially when it's the big one.
Yeah, and that's the one I was gonna get to. Last one is the purple label. That's
the Royal Reserve.
The Royal Reserve. This one's rested and used bourbon barrels but it comes out at cask strength. This is the part where I love cask strength stuff. So does usually Mike and Ben. Yeah. There's only been a couple things we found that were like, we really like this at lower proof. That's pretty rare for us. It's oddly enough, it's like, what, 50, 60, it's totally fine. Don't shy away from that.
Yeah.
Now this is the one that was last year was 6 months, and this year the batch 10 months in the barrel on this one.
Yeah.
And this, I love sipping on this.
And
this is one of my unique favorites. Try to show to people. This is where people in chat. Oh my God, Matt over at Whiskey Crusaders got a sample, and I got his bottle here. He was pretty excited about it. So I got him a bottle when we were down at Distill America this year. I just have to get it down to it.
Well, I'm going to give kudos. So I just want to take a moment and say that Yahara Bay Distillery is. Oh yeah. These guys are off the charts, and they have, without them, obviously none of this would have even happened. So I've been friends with Lars 40, which is the
headmaster distiller
there, for many years, and I was doing the thing in Brazil, and he was like, "You're the meat guy," and I'm like, I got it. So, and he's like, "Bring some in and let's try it out." And he's like, "I'll make it for you. You just got to do everything else." And I was like, "Oh, well, making it's the hard part." I'm like, because I mean, who wouldn't want to buy this? Again, yeah. So they really hit the numbers with getting that barrel 2 in a bottle, like ready to go by Distill America. Like that was great. Yeah,
that wasn't bad. And I dig, and we like them on this channel because they do not only for you, but one of the few places that like openly does like a lot of contract distilling, and a lot of the contract distilling they do is really good.
Yeah,
like Crooked Water Spirits, a couple other people. I'm like
Shuttler Natural Spirits. He's got the mango stuff. It's really the Aronia Berry. They got a lot of good stuff going on.
So I'm like, and I give credit to that because that's helping a lot of people that like who getting a distillery or distills in the first place to kind of upsize it is a big that's a hell of an investment, like you said, just for doing it, and just kudos to helping everyone kind of get to the first step and move past that. So we appreciate what they do there quite a bit, actually.
No, it's a pleasure to work with them. They're and we've been doing this for I guess three plus years now. And we're still here, and people are still grabbing bottles off the shelf. Because it's interesting because it's a lane of alcohol, right? And that's what I don't think people really. That's what I get. We got to get people to understand that you've got your rum lane. Because people ask, "What do you drink?" "Oh, well, I drink tequila," or "I really like bourbon," or "I like rums," or Agrigolds or whatever. Well, now you can say you like a whole new category of alcohol. And we find a lot of people that actually say they like Somel. And that's what they're drinking because it's different. It gives them a different buzz. It tastes different. They feel different in the morning. And, they're maybe drinking for a purpose, Which,
Are you the only guy distilling honey like this in the U.S.?
That is no way. There are other people doing it.
Okay. Because you're the first one I've seen.
Yeah, well, there are a lot of people doing it that have been popped up in the last year, maybe even 2 years. We've actually got John Hamilton from White Winter Winery up. He's up north. I don't actually know what cities he's in, but he's a mead maker mostly. But he's got a distillery up there, and he's been distilling mead for quite a while. There's many people, like you've got Bar Hill, which is probably he's in Vermont, I believe. He's probably the largest distiller of honey in the country. But he's calling it a vodka. He's making it like a vodka.
Okay.
Yeah, there's many people that are doing stuff. You've got Up North Distillery in Idaho, and even like Backwards Distillery. Lots of people have done it, but no one's really taken it. I guess like to the point of really trying to grow it to the category lane.
Yeah.
At least giving it a name too. That was really the big step for me, is to get that word honey out of it, because it's really confusing, because the word honey spirit, that's what Tennessee honey is. That's what Wild Turkey is calling their stuff. That's what Jack calls his stuff. That's all honey. I mean, I've actually had a cocktail that had bourbon that was sweetened with honey. But they said, "Here, try my honey spirit." I was like, "No, that's not right. Not right." You know, it has been. It's been a challenge, and it's not even close.
It's an education probably for a lot of people that when you're trying to set like a new standard for something.
It's the most expensive thing that you'll ever do, and there's a reason that no one's ever done it. Is because creating a new category of alcohol is like the hardest thing to do in the world.
Mm-hmm.
Like I mean, maybe I'm wrong, but I think the most recent category of alcohol, like legitimate category, is mezcal, and that's even debatable if it's a legitimate category because it's an agave. It's right. It's agave
tequila,
it's not a Jalisco, but it's still, you know. But I think that was 100+ years ago.
Mm-hmm.
You know? It's not something that happens very often. You know, trust me. I wish somebody else would have did this 400 years ago. Like it was. You know, and it's going to take way more people than me. I mean, we need a revolution to do it. You know, we need a lot of supporters, a lot of people talking about it. You know, so did we touch on the specifications of a Somel?
No, we did not.
No,
I didn't hop on that. So,
you guys have questions? Should I give that out quick?
Oh yeah, definitely.
So here's the quick thing. The word Somel follows the term of brandies, where brandy by itself means a spirit distilled only from grapes. You don't have to say grape brandy, right?
Mm-hmm.
So a Somel, you don't have to say honey Somel. It means spirit distilled from 100% honey. So if you see Somel on the bottle, it means it's made with all honey. Now, we allow you to use a fruit, an herb, or a spice, but it must be 51% honey. That is the rule.
Okay.
Right? You may not. Now we're not allowing grain, which would be a braggot if you made a mead out of it. Mostly because we feel like that would open the doors, I think, to a lot of misuse where people would be using NGS and things of that nature to really, to subsidize the sugar. So fruit, herbs, and spices. So if you were a mead maker and you made a metheglin, maybe like a rosemary mead, then you distilled it. Now it's a rosemary Somel. So you have to call it out in the front. So if you made a Sizer, which is an apple mead, you'd have to call it out. Now it's an apple Somel. That's pretty much it. And then obviously distilled below 160, and that's pretty much it. It follows most of the other terms of a brandy.
That's cool. We got one question from the chat here, Nathan. Come on, show it. Yes, the Brazilian honey you're using, is it that bubbly fermented greenish stuff from the Amazon, or is it more what you think of like here in the U.S.?
Yeah, it's more of what you would think here. It's actually a wildflower, organic Brazilian wildflower honey. So it's pretty basic, I mean, it's got a lot of floral notes and everything, but it's not the green stuff. I'd like to get my hands on some of that though. For sure. There's so much out there, and that's the adventure part, right? Like, I want to distill every kind of honey there is. Like, I distilled Tupelo honey, like the most expensive honey that I know of. I distilled 5-gallon bucket of it. Still got anybody that's got Tupelo honey, hold on to that bottle.
Growing up here in the South, that's one of my favorite honeys. I've gotten to try several different varieties of honey, and I love experiencing the differences in all of them. It's really fun to explore.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. And then once then you take it one more level, and the Somels with different flavors is really special.
Yeah.
So is there a spirit that you would like to make with the honey that you can't?
can't.
Or shouldn't.
Shouldn't. You know,
I don't know.
yeah, I mean, we've done a lot of experimenting, and some of the experimentations are really nice, and some of them taste great. Some of them smell even better. Yeah, it's the nose, right? Like you just get your head in there. Actually, now you kind of got me going there. Hold on. That way.
Mike's leading us. Mike's leading us a bit here.
Yeah. I don't think you can see the initials on it anymore, but it used to say GG.
Yep.
Yeah.
Anyway. Yeah. So I was saying earlier, there's a pretty good supply of Somel in there. This is actually that I'm finishing up is a Brazilian Somel made from in São Paulo from Wenzel, pretty big honey producer down there, and they're doing a spirit.
That's cool. And Eli had just a question. He was saying if he was drinking a certain type of hibiscus mead or whatever it was, you'd have to basically declare it like you said.
Yes.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, that's what I figured.
Yeah. I imagine once you, and then, it's interesting, because everything comes off the still clear, so you're going to lose that beautiful hibiscus color. Right? It's going to be clear, but you might get it. We've done. I've done fig meads. I've done cranberry meads. I've distilled black cherry meads. Lots of blends. I've done sizers. They all kind of the floral notes come through. But the softer the mead you make, and the softer you distill it, the softer the Somel is going to be. Okay. So it's a really, really gentle mead, and you really took your time with it, and it's just like off the charts. When you distill it, you're going to be sad because you might want to just save it and drink it as a mead if it's really good, right? Okay. So we didn't talk about this, but I caught. Are you guys familiar with Brettanomyces? It's a spoiling agent used in fermentation, oftentimes for sours, sour beers. So it's called Brett. Well, I caught Brett, and a lot of my my fermenters, my 5-6 gallon fermenters, they're plastic, and Brett travels in plastic. So a lot of my mead got caught and turned into Brett, and that was another reason that I was like, okay, well, let's see what happens with Brett. And it distilled out pretty good, but I wouldn't recommend it. But if you're caught and you got a bunch of Brett, it will work. It will work.
It will work. Well, and I'm gonna mention this just because she didn't do it. I was mentioning how Maggie Campbell has.
Oh yeah.
From Privateer Rum, she has a thing on Instagram where it's half pint Maggie is her screen name. I think she was going to talk about something like this today, but she moved her streams to Wednesday and Friday. So I think on Wednesday she'll be talking about it about 4:30, if I'm not right, because she's a beekeeper
today.
No, I missed her. If she was on, it didn't come up as.
She was on today. Yeah.
Did she talk about it?
She did. Yeah. Yeah.
I missed it. No, I'm upset.
Just briefly. She did not say the word Somel. People are kind of like, about it, but I'm like, I got my head on the chopping block with that. I'm like, I'm going, but she definitely did bring it up. She's such an amazing, figure in the world, and just a sweetheart. She's really a phenomenal person and does so much for the community. And an avid beekeeper, and really, really interested, I think, in where we go, And
then when you were mentioning like the higher proof, and she was mentioning that too about, especially with the rums, like the higher the proof, the more kind of stable it is when you put it into a barrel. Like rather, there's not as much fluctuation. So when you're getting the higher Somel, you're kind of looks like the same thing. You're kind of keeping a little bit more of the flavors a little bit longer.
Absolutely, yeah.
So
I mean, it's almost unadulterated.
Mm-hmm.
Right? It's like we're not adding that RO water back, so we're really like using it all, and it's like the purest form, you know. And the fact that, you know, you're drinking 122 there, maybe. I mean, this whatever, this stuff can be drank at, you know, 130, 135. Like, it can be done, you know.
Well, it doesn't taste like.
I know.
It's one of those things that like drinks so under the proof that when I was mentioning a different winery earlier when we were filming something earlier tonight, I said they have the crack of wine. They're like, what do you mean? I'm like, it's this Concord grape wine that doesn't. It tastes like fucking grape juice, and you can drink the whole thing and gone. And I'm like, and this is kind of the same way where I'm like paying attention, like 4 or 5 drinks in, you're like, yeah, I can do another one. You're like, maybe I should slow down.
Yeah. Yeah, this stuff, the Royal Reserve requires a disclaimer. Especially if you put it down on a table and bunch of your boys, you know, and they're like, oh, yeah. You're like, just know what you're getting into. Because, you know,
my friend did it
out of your car or something, you know.
My friend did that on a Friday night, and he'll usually take big pours. And we just had a normal glass, but like on here, it was like this full. It just kept pouring, and he's like, did it again. I'm like, fucking. He's like, I'm like, just hold on. He's like, what do you mean? I'm like, well, we'll see in 30, 40 minutes how you feel. Just,
I
don't think you're going to keep going at that rate.
Yeah. Well, you know, I mean, it wouldn't be the worst thing if we learned how to drink or had a different way to drink, you know, like a little bit lesser pours, you know, like
learn to work your way up to that point, you know. But that's just what he always does. So I never get in, you know. His first 2 are usually like that, and I'm like with yours, it's like, where it's 50, 60% how much. I'm like, you know, maybe be a little cautious by the 3rd one, you know. Like,
well, I think I remember when I first bottled this stuff, and I was upstairs, and I had it next to my bed, and I was like, I'm fucking slammed right now. And I saw the ice cube like diluting, and I was like, I don't think I can drink it. Like, and I don't usually not finish my foods, you know. But I was in. I was like, I gotta let it go, you know. But I tell people, I'm like, there's a lot of different people out there that obviously have never drank this, and I'm like, get drunk or catch a buzz on this, but really take notes on how you because your body's going to act differently to this type of alcohol. You know. So and some people start feeling different, you know. So and that's exciting.
So how does your spirit, aside from, you know, mixing things or instead of mixing things into it, how well does it hold up to infusing? So if you were to infuse it with other flavors, or could it be something that you supply to people that then they could infuse? So you're making the base.
Absolutely. So if we did it with a higher proof, so if we came out with like maybe a Navy strength 115 or something, I think it would be optimal for what you speak of. I think it would be like the heaven would open up and sing, because because people are gonna start extracting herbs and spices and things that are medicinal, right? That we hope were pollinated by a bee. So it's that perfect full
circle stuff.
Right? I mean, that's really what we're talking about, you know. I mean, being able to have a product that is, you know, just the perfect catalyst, you know, and even with some of the other products that bees make too, propolis, royal jelly, you know, even you could put honey in it, so on and so forth, you know, if you're making tinctures out of it, you know, like you know, echinaceas or dandelion root, or, you know, I'm almost a little sad when I hear people using, you know, extractions with vodka. I'm like, oh, it's so much better with high proof Somel. You know, as long as it's not above. So this is the kicker. If it's above 160, by all rights, it's not a Somel anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Now it's a spirit distilled from honey.
Oh, okay.
Right? Like you don't find high proof brandy out there. It's called a grape distillate.
Okay. Yeah, it's cheating. I got one or two other ones. Have you ever thought about using a different barrel? Okay. Is maybe that in the works? Or what barrel have you thought of? Or type of barrel?
So we've got one swelling right now that is... So I've thought about doing wine barrels, but I've kind of like sometimes they can be tricky. They can add tannins. They can do... I'm not too experienced with them, so and they're expensive. So it's kind of like, oh well, maybe I'll hold off. But I did do something pretty cool, and I'll throw it out here. So last year, I took a Buffalo Trace barrel, and I popped the head off it, and I put a beehive in it, a literal beehive.
Okay.
Okay.
I put a colony of bees inside of it, and I built a hexagon lid, like an upper that went on top of it, and the bees lived in it successfully until November. November they died, but they were in there all year, and I just let them go nuts. I didn't try. So I put a nuke in there, which is like a frames, and I just slid the frames down in there. Mm-hmm. But I didn't really try to control them. So I let them build comb everywhere. And honey is I always get it wrong, but basically it shrinks, it pulls moisture out. So it's like hydroscopic or something, right? So the barrel started to shrink.
Okay.
So all these gaps started to get in between the slats. You know what happened? Bees have propolis, or make propolis, which is a gap filler and a sticky solution that they use for antiseptic. So they went up along all these gaps, and they filled it all with propolis. So the concept is now, put booze back. First booze ever barreled in a beehive.
That's pretty sweet.
That's interesting. Yeah. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, because you'd be like,
I'm just kidding.
Double down on that.
Yeah, so that's so I've done experiments with wax, beeswax, and propolis. It's very interesting. It's not like anything you've ever tasted. If there's ever a spirit that makes you literally want, when you're drinking it, stop drinking and go buy a cigar.
Oh.
Yeah.
Sorry, Ben's a cigar guy. Sorry, some of the people in the chat too. So you just sit in there with
just
them.
like the wax in your mouth and the mouth feel. You're just like, oh my god. Yeah.
Now we need more of your spirit.
So speaking of I'm in South Carolina. I know some of the people watching are in Texas and other places. Is there a way to get your spirit right now outside of Wisconsin?
Oh, this guy right here. Yeah. Well, we're working on it. So now we create a relationship with Yahara Bay, and I really like to think that that's something that Yahara Bay Distilleries in Fitchburg, Wisconsin, they might be able to help people out with that. So if you called up and said, "Hey, I'd like to buy some Domeloz," I'm sure that we would be able to find a way to make it happen one way or another. And that's what we're hoping, because it's one of the reasons I don't really advertise and don't really push the needle anywhere else, because it's like I've had people from Barbados being like, I really love her spirit. And I'm like, or, all over the world. I mean, we've had people from Japan, we've had people from all over Europe. They're like, I love your stuff, I want it. I'm just like, I'm sorry. I don't know how to get it to you.
Like, the shipping is fucking expensive.
It's a fucking booze business, man. It is hard. It's like highly regulated, and things are not easy to do. So I think Yahara Bay Distillery would be a really great resource for that, to be able to. Now you might want to pool together and buy a case, because of the shipping costs might be worth it, you know.
Right.
But I'm sure you guys are well versed in the art of buying booze online.
We also
essential oils and olive oil and perfume.
Yeah.
all the weird muling that happens around the country.
Yeah.
Oh, I get it.
Yeah.
Things I've done. Yes, the things I've done.
Things just happen.
Yes,
that's how samples get everywhere.
Oh
so.
yeah.
But yeah,
you should see I've got these gray totes, like foot lockers, that I've gotten pretty good at the Brazilian traveling. Once I had like a big golf bag, just like layered, you know, like, oh yeah, no, it's vinegar.
Now Dominic just gets waved through. He's okay.
Yeah.
Let him through.
Well, once it was like open it up and it was like one of the jugs of honey brew. It's sticky. And it was like, you can go in there. It's like, no, you're good. Just go through.
We don't want to try to clean that either. Just keep going. No, that's
put the lid back on it.
Out of all the stuff you say you have in the cupboard behind you, what's one of your favorite kind of Somels you have in there? Like, what's one of the top 3 that are in the little cabinet behind you?
I'm gonna unplug it, so not yank the computer. Can you still hear me?
Yeah.
I will probably say this one because there's not a lot left. And this was a early day, and it was distilled from a cranberry mead.
Okay.
And it is just like drinking a cloud. It's just so soft. I do like this. It's pretty good. So this is White Winter Wineries, Somel, or spirit distilled from honey. He calls it Shadow Mist. This is and you know, again, what the TTB requires us to call it is it says this is early days. So this is before we got to use the word spirit distilled from honey. Right?
Okay.
Ron was one of the first people to do this, and it says distilled specialty spirits. So that's where that's the category we wrote. Yeah. But then we got being able to use the spirit distilled from honey. Now he calls it spirits distilled from black currant and honey wine mellowed on wood. Yeah. So like I said, if you're going to make a really nice, soft mead, and for some reason you're not happy with it, those are really the softest Somels that I've tried.
Okay.
You know, they are really, really gentle. And then, this is a good one too. Hold on. A very undescript bottle. So I made a mango mead in Brazil.
Ooh.
And we used 150 pounds of mango pulp. We I don't know. I mean, it was my buddy's whole house. We just were processing mangoes. There were 4 of us just processing mangoes, right? And just like hand grinding and the whole 9 yards. We had buckets and buckets of mango pulp. And the mead got a funk. It just did not turn out right. So we made it into a Somel. And this is really nice. So this is about a 150, and the mangoes come out in it. It's really special.
Nice.
Yeah. You want this. Yeah. That's all I have. So
I'd have to rate a vault down there.
We've got 20. So 80 liters of it. So like 40 gallons of it. something like that.
That's pretty decent.
But yeah, so those are and then obviously the GG.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Double G. That was coming out in the future. That's a future possibility.
So it's our take on a gin, right? I mean, I've done in some R&D with some gin, you know, and I didn't love it. I didn't love it. Maybe I just decided to skip it, you know.
I don't know. I dug the nose on it, and I dug the nose was pretty familiar, and I was gonna say the flavor was really nice. I was gonna say I was surprisingly nice considering what was happening. So I was like, but that was another thing.
Have you tried, Ben?
What's that?
Have you tried the GG?
No, I haven't.
No, you haven't either. Yeah,
he didn't make it to Distill America. Sean's the one that came with me.
You, Patrick, next time you're in Madison, you come on over.
I will do that. My sister and my niece live down there, so it's a definite possibility to make it down there.
Yeah, come on by. We'll see what we can do.
I'm down for that.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
So you know, getting more people to make Somels is the big piece. Cost of honey is the reason nobody makes it. It's not because they, you know, don't know about it, or, you know, it's just not feasible for the price. You know, it's just price prohibitive, you know. I mean, which I don't really think it is, because they're playing. The booze business plays the room and board game, right? Like, so bourbon, you got to sit on a bourbon for 4 years, you know. What's that cost, right?
Yep.
To make a Somel, you're putting your money up front. You're putting you're investing in the ingredient, but the turnaround time is so quick.
Yeah, especially with just the base one. But even with, like you're saying, 10 months in the barrel, that's where, like, I originally, when I had it the first year I was there, and I had the barrel, the Royal Reserve, I thought, just because of whiskey, obviously, the channel and shit, my brain went to, like, an Isla barrel. I'm like, even if it was, like, a month in an Isla barrel, I'm like, this is, like, reverse engineering art bag. I was like, honey, and then pulling the notes from there, and just if it didn't get overkilled, I'm like, but I'm like, even in Wisconsin, I'm like, you're cutting aging down considerably, and if you were in, like, say, Texas, it might, instead of being 10 months, it might be 3 months if you just did it in summer. And
well, I'll be perfectly honest with you. I don't believe that this needs to sit on a barrel for very long. I think some of my stuff is on the barrel even longer, and I think if I was really, we've actually thought about doing some innovative things to speed it up so that it's done faster. So I have done this in less than 30 days. The Black Label I've done in 28 days.
Holy shit.
It can be done.
Yeah. That's nice.
And that's the secret weapon. That's the concept. It's still, you can get 45, 50 bucks, 55, maybe even 60 bucks. We don't want to be in there. That's the other one of our biggest issues is price point, right? So I think if people know what it is, they're a little more apt to spend 50, 60 bucks on it. But if they don't really know what it is and they don't value it, they'd much rather grab, you know, a bottle of scotch or a good bottle of bourbon, because they feel like there's value there. You know, just because of the marketing and the state of.
Even with that, anytime you get close to, like, a cask strength or a barrel strength, anything, you're getting, you know, 50, 60%. I almost expect you to be in the $50, $60 range. You know, I'm like, you're probably the normal release is, you know, down 35, 40. And if you're getting cask strength of anything, I'm always thinking, you know, 50, 60. If you get it below that, fucking praise you. I mean, good luck.
Yeah.
But that's hard. That's hard to do anything at cask strength like that.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Well, and there's more people starting to come out with more. We're finding more beekeepers are going to start coming in to this work, like, because they've the cost of honey, and they want to basically improve their, you know, their cost of goods, and they want to get their margin out of it. So they're going to start getting into the spirit business and and financing a Somel with their honey. You know,
I think
that's a really good way to go about it as well. You know.
I'm only mentioning this because I know Ben, and Ben has. Did you drink all yours already, Ben?
I just polished it off like 10 minutes ago or so.
I was just gonna say, I'm like, I pondered. There was a different whiskey we tried. We were like, that's Rua, and you got the different finish on it. I just wondered what like 2 drops of this in there would do to it, but we'll save that for another night.
Yeah, that's what I do. A lot of mini barrel finishing with different whiskeys and stuff, playing around, and I've had a lot of ideas going through my head just sipping this, like, oh my goodness, just a day or two in this barrel just to add a little nuance to it. That could be really fun. And the same thing, Patrick, adding just a drop or 2 of this to it, just to add a little nuance to it. It'd be really fun. To me, it's beautiful as it is, but also it seems like it would be the perfect base to just toy around with, to add little subtleties to it that would, just make different things.
Oh, we're in the very beginning.
Yeah.
This is the beginning, boys. Like, you wait. I mean, I like to think in 10 years from now that, people have taken this way off and they're doing, blow your mind stuff with it, because it can do a lot of stuff. I mean, I'm pretty partial to this, but I basically think this can do anything any other booze can do, but better.
Well, I don't even, if you had to ask me like this between this and a vodka, I know there are some vodkas that are getting more flavor and stuff than the kind of the base ones, but all your baseline vodkas that you're trying out there, I would rather drink this any day of the week compared to that. Not even close.
Oh, yeah. I don't know.
I'll take this over any gin, personally. I'm not a big gin guy, but
sorry, neither am I. I don't like pine needles. I'm sorry. It's not my deal.
Yeah. No, but I would gladly, if I have bottles of this in my collection, I'd be reaching for this every week. Not a problem.
Yeah, I mean, that's what we want. People can. So that's another thing we get a lot of people that are like, "Oh yeah, I bought a bottle," and I'm like, "Do you still have it?" And I'm like, "Drink it." I'm like, like, drink it, deplete it, buy another one,
buy more,
it.
That's how this whole thing works. Damn it!
They're like, "Yeah, it's super special and it's really great." I'm like, "Yeah, I get it. I love you."
Send samples, share it.
Buy another one. Yeah,
spread the gospel.
Party, let it get crushed. Yeah, you crack this at a party, and everybody finds a way to like it. So we used to have. Well, I mean, that's one of the best ingredients that I like to add to Somel is water.
Yeah.
Cold water, ice cubes, water, whatever. Because it's actually, the lower the ABV gets, it actually brings out more flavor.
Interesting.
Yeah.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah. And like in this whole seltzer world now, where everyone's like trying to drink lower ABV stuff, who knows? We might be able to
take the legs
bring
out
something down a little bit so it's a little more approachable.
Sweet.
Yeah.
But we're over the hour mark, and we kind of try to keep her to that realm for everyone else watching. So I think we're probably going to call it. Okay. But I want to say thank you, Dominic, for coming on. We appreciate it. We all really enjoyed it, so we're happy you got to come on and talk about it and to spread the word, because we want you to keep making more of it. This is a really tasty drink. So
it is.
No, I can't tell you how much I appreciate you guys, and letting me on here and spit my game because I do a lot of that. I could probably go for another hour.
Well, that's what I told other people. I'm like, you're probably one of the better pitchmen I've seen, like in person. Like when you're at one of those events, you have pizzazz. You're full of energy, and you're good to go. Like, you engage the people. Like, I don't want to say like it's a show, but kind of. Where some other people are really kind of subdued, and they're like, and this is our rye, and it's mixed with this, and you're like, you're fucking excited. You're fucking excited about it.
Yeah, you've got a big passion for it.
A business owner that really, right? Like when they really care about what they're doing.
Exactly.
I really care about what I'm doing, but I also really believe, like deep down, that I feel like this booze can save the world.
I dig that.
I really do. I really do. Because you can't do it without a honeybee, and you can't have a honeybee without habitat. So
that's true, and there's too much of that going away.
Right.
So I love the fact that that's bringing that back and giving me this.
Yeah, and giving you that. Support the bees, drink Somel.
That's right.
That's true.
All right, gentlemen.
All right. Well, everyone in the chat, we're gonna kick off here. We'll stop over at Whiskey Crusaders. They started a couple minutes ago, but if you have questions or anything, like Dominic said, get a hold of Yaharo Bay or private message me. We'll see what we can work out for you. You guys have a good night.
Cheers.
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 Let's get into it. 1, 2, 3. Let's drink some more.